survival, I shoot it to kill it. I'm aiming for vitals, I'm showing no mercy when facing my rivals. Snakes in the grass, they getting exposed. I know they be lurking, I'm watching them close. Acting like friends, but really they foes. Saw they be scheming and said adios. Yeah, I gotta get it. Get it, don't mind it. Ay, back with a vengeance, back on the grinds, back to the business. Ay, God is my witness, they watching my moves like shows they binging. Ay, best keep distance, all of my haters send best of wishes. I get to the bag with the quickness, no I don't need no assistance. Oh, yeah, no playing it safe. I said let's get it, you say not today. What can I say? You ain't gon' go for it, get out the way. Yeah, got no time to waste. Can't be with me if you're not at my pace. You're not at my level, you're not in my race. One foot on the gas, I'm pushing the brakes. You dancing with the devil, there's no recital. I'm killing competition, ain't no revival. I shoot it to kill it, I'm aiming for vitals. I'm showing no mercy when facing my rivals. Snakes in the grass, they getting exposed. I know they be lurking, I'm watching them close. Acting like friends, but really they foes. Saw they be scheming and said adios. Yeah, I gotta get it. Get it, don't mind it. I gotta get it, don't mind it. I gotta get it, don't mind it. To the end, you push too hard, now I make it real. Come on, we're gonna run you down, and we're gonna throw you out, and we're gonna run this town tonight, and we're gonna lay it down, better not come around, and we're gonna run this town tonight, tonight. We're gonna run this town tonight. I can't stop me now. You 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 can't stop me now. Fight. You can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. You 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 can't stop me now. Fight. Fight. You can't stop me now.
Two drivers, 2 points, and 2 races are all that's left in the quest to become a world champion. Tonight, Alex Bergeron and Hayden Cardwell continue their duel to take home the lion's share of $10,000 and become a World of Outlaws titleist. Just when you thought it was all over a few weeks ago and they could all but write the check to Bergeron, old Lady Luck reared her ugly head and a lap car took him out of the race lead at Kokomo, relegating him to fourth, and Cardwell went on to win. We can safely say that this is perhaps the closest, most competitive, and hotly contested championship in the history of dirt sprint car sim racing, and it all continues tonight in the heart of Posse Country. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the virtual Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania for continuing coverage of the penultimate round for the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. We are live on DirtVision.com and iRacing's Facebook page for Round 9 coverage of this 10-race schedule. My name is Chase Rodman, joined up top by Justin Prince with Tyler Maxon in the production truck. And JP, unfortunately, I could not be here last week, but man, oh man, did I miss a drama-filled race, and it should set us up for a thriller tonight here at the Grove.
Absolute fireworks, to say the very least, with how things fared out over at Kokomo. But for tonight, it's about consistency and about trying to mitigate any potential mistakes once more, especially with everything on the line. This is one of the most difficult tracks on the calendar, one of its most unique tracks on the calendar, and one where tonight qualifying could be absolutely paramount if you want to try and win the championship. Points are going to need to be maximally scored tonight if you want to be able to control your destiny after tonight. In other words, Chase, the pressure is on for the top two.
No doubt about it. We already see it in practice sessions right now. Bergeron and Cardwell at the top of the speed charts. Let's take a look at our schedule so far. As I mentioned, the 9th race on the schedule. We started all off at Volusia Speedway Park, with Bergeron pick up the win. Tim Ryan won at Knoxville, Cardwell at Fairbury. Then Bergeron back-to-back at Eldora and Lernerville. Cameron Merriman scored a popular win there at the Wheat Sports Speedway. Then Bergeron at Cedar Lake and Cardwell at Kokomo. And here we are tonight at my personal favorite track on iRacing for these drivers, the Williams Grove Speedway, the biggest track that we go to on the sim. And, man, at this point, who knows who's going to win? We know in the past, Justin, that Alex has been very, very good here at Williams Grove, but it seems like Cardwell's just good everywhere.
Yeah, Cardwell is very consistent when it comes to his performance on both the big tracks and the small tracks, especially this season, and that's why he's been so tight up at the point standings. He, in fact, has 8 top 5s on the campaign for a reason. Kendall Tucker and the rest of the groupings, though, remember, still fighting for the rest of the prize pool for about third on back, and that's been very, very close, especially for a chance at a top 5. It can go any direction, honestly, from right below them in the standings. And keep in mind, the relegation line, Cole Newhoffen, after his performance last week, was able to jump himself to 15th on the board. Alex Smolders and Mason Hannigan, both quick drivers at this racetrack to Chase in the past, are going to be competitive, to say the very least, to see what they can do tonight. It's been intense, and it's been tight.
And you can see right there, Bergeron and Cardwell have been the class of the field all season long. They have 127 points over the rest of the competitors in this championship. Tucker, Edens, and Ryan rounding out the top 5. James Edens, we might want to mention, has had 3 second-place finishes in a row in that 52 car. He has been heating up the last couple weeks. And remember back to last year there, Justin, it was Edens who picked up the victory right here at Williams Grove Speedway. Let's take a look at the way these drivers earn points throughout a night here. And this is very critical for those top 2 at the top there with Cardwell and Bergeron. To win a heat race, it is 8 points, and to win the feature event, it is 70 points. You can see right there, as you lose spots, you lose points, obviously. That's how it works here with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. So I think the heat race is going to be very, very critical here, because just getting that one extra point, that one little buffer from a driver finishing first or second between those two guys there, JP, it could play huge dividends come next week.
It was one of the main reasons, too, where Bergeron still has the 2-point buffer instead of, say, tied up or even just a 1-point buffer entering tonight with the difference they had at Kokomo in the heat race. But as well, keep in mind with those feature points, one mistake, one major incident with lap traffic again, if you're Bergeron or anyone else in the field, can end up costing you 9 total points like it did last week, essentially. In other words, you can't afford to have any sort of mistakes, whether it's qualifying, whether it's in heat racing, whether it's in your main tonight, to try and make sure you're all set to go.
Well, here is what these drivers are fighting for. We mentioned $10,000 at the top of the show, but there's actually $25,000 up for grabs for the drivers that finish inside the top 10 in point standings. As you can see, the winner, the championship winner, 10 grand. Second place is 5, third place 3,500, fourth is 2,000, and fifth for 1,500. So that's just for the championship alone. You look on the right side of the screen there, the race winnings each week throughout this 10-race schedule. The winner of each race will get $300, $200 for second, and $100 for third. And but you know that the race winnings are great and all, but for Cardwell and Bergeron, it's all about that five-figure payday at the top of that screen there.
Especially with the real-world race programs we talked about throughout the campaign, that would go a long way to help them in the respective seasons come 2021 in the real world. In other words, it's going to be intense tonight to try and win those totals, and intense for the rest of the groupings to be able to bump themselves around the rest of the top prize pool groupings. Because every little bit to upgrade your equipment, whether in the real world, for the sim world, can all go a long way in your performance as well as your career.
And there's no doubt about it. Let's take a look at the format these drivers will be facing here tonight. We will have heat races. There will be 4 of them throughout the night, 10 laps each. And 4 of the drivers, the top 4 finishers, will move straight into the A main event. Then we'll have 2 B main events, or consolation races. And each of those races will take the top 2 to the back of the A main. Those B mains will be 12 laps. And then you see the feature race, the A main, 20 drivers, 35 laps. The caution laps do not count. And, Justin, this is probably the longest race on the schedule. A big half mile here at Williams Grove Speedway. Lap times, towards feature time will probably be around the 18-second bracket. And 35 laps around this place, man. These straightaways are so long. This will be easily the longest race of the year.
And on top of that, the straightaways are not all the same in terms of race lines. Think back to the last time the series came here. The top line was working a lot down the back straightaway, but there's a lot of moisture on the bottom line where drivers were able to carry speed down there. So to see some changing lines throughout the night, it should be fun tonight.
Let's take a look at the heat race number 1 lineup. And on the pole, driver who is quick time here tonight with the fastest lap in qualifying. It was Lewis Hewitt. He's from Adelaide, South Australia, in car number 3. And outside of him, a great starting spot for the driver, currently second in the point standings. It's Hayden Cardwell in 22. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. Row 2 on the inside, it's car number 10 of Rusty Kruger. He's from Loomis, California. And on the outside of him, the car number 99 of Greg LeMay. He is from Hamburg, Pennsylvania. Third row on the inside, the 35 car, Nick Cooper. He's from Waterloo, New York. And outside of him, car number 1 is Mason Hannigan, and he's from Pittsburgh, Indiana.
From Clyde, Ohio, with Zane Scott starting in 7th tonight, while John Batista from Ellington, Florida, rounds out the 8 cars in heat race number 1 tonight.
10 laps of distance here in this heat race as the drivers start to get gridded up here. And you see right there the Williams Grove Speedway sign, the fans up there in Beer Hill. Man, it gets pretty rowdy over there at a real-life race, and it looks like the virtual fans are having themselves a good time here tonight as well. And, man, I talked about it there at the top of the show there, Justin. This place, in my opinion, a race is so good. You got to be really slow around the bottom once it gets slick, or you got to be really up there on that razor-thin cushion and not hitting the guardrail. This place provides some really good race. It provides sometimes 4-wide racing in the corners. It's super wide, but then those straightaways, they get pretty tight.
Yeah, especially with them converging right together, and essentially any incident down in that section could cause some potential trouble for anyone else coming from behind with very little time to react. It's going to be important, though, to find the moisture around the racetrack for tonight, as we talked about a little bit, as well, though, to be able to play those lines as the track slickens up, to be able to carry the momentum. Keep in mind, some drivers talked about the importance of the weather as well. Weather conditions very optimal for racing tonight. 75 degrees track temp Fahrenheit, 81 degrees air temp. Nice and beautiful conditions. Minimal wind as well.
Lewis Hewitt doing a great job here tonight. I believe his first quick time of the season. He's had not the best year, and I think Lewis will tell you that himself. It has not been the year that he has wanted. He's been racing in transfer spots and gotten crashed or had incidents. But this right here, a quick time at Williams Grove Speedway with the competition that is here tonight, is going to be huge for that driver. He will start on the pole of this one. To his outside, though, the 22 car of Hayden Cardwell, and I'm sure those guys right there, Kruger, Hewitt, maybe even LeMay, are probably a little bit nervous. Obviously, they don't want to, affect the championship. They don't want to maybe accidentally run into Cardwell and take him out. So maybe a little bit of nerves there for those drivers surrounding that 22 car. But this is also huge for Cardwell, because if you win the first heat race, JP, you are on the pole of the feature and you control that initial start. As we take a look at some of the stats there for Hayden Cardwell.
Especially since they've been going back and forth on the fastest lap charts throughout the practices, whether it was final open practice or tonight's warm-up. It's expected to be hotly contested amongst them. We mentioned the top 5, 8 of them on the campaign. 2 victories so far for Cardwell, as well as 1 pole already this season. We'll have to see how he does tonight. As we talked about, this track could well suit him, especially if he can get that top line working.
Let's see what happens. Here we go, off of turn number 4. We're ready to go racing here for the 9th round of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. It's Lewis Hewitt jumping out with the race lead in car number 3. He'll go to the bottom of the racetrack, slides it up to the middle on the exit of turn number 2. The 22 car of Hayden Cardwell right there behind him as they work down the back straightaway. And Cardwell, in my opinion, he needs to get by Hewitt and win this heat race here, not only for the points, but for that pole position in the A-main.
How aggressive does he try and take it is the big question. Is already the end of the first lap. Hewitt pulling away by 3 car lengths. Rusty Kruger continuing to attack near the back end of him, while Mason Hannigan, of note, has already lost some time to Nick Cooper for the bubble spot. Cardwell losing time on apex off at the moment down the front straightaway, but has been better than Lewis Hewitt through 1 and 2. First couple laps already in the books. 16.5 recorded by Lewis Hewitt, quickest out of the grouping.
Mason Hannigan right now in the 5th spot, trying to track down the 35 car of Nick Cooper. Cooper nearly gets into the back of Rusty Kruger off of turn number 4. He slips back a little bit behind that number 10 car down the front straightaway. 4 laps complete, still 6 to go. A long ways here at Williams Grove Speedway. And Cardwell, as you mentioned there, is losing some time here to Lewis Hewitt the last time by. Hewitt was just a little bit better, but Cardwell's got to get a whole lot closer if he wants to try and make a run for this win.
You can already see, though, with Rusty Kruger as well as Hayden Cardwell, both of them are trying to go a little bit higher each and every lap around this racetrack, widening out that group, try and build up some slick and build up a bit more of a racing line towards that top of the wall. Lewis Hewitt, though, has been more content to ride towards the bottom lines around this racetrack. Halfway this time, the gap is still 0.2 of a second.
Cardwell a little bit faster that time by than Hewitt, and he's trying to track him down here down the back straightaway as they go underneath the bridge here at the Grove, back into 3 and 4. Hewitt on the bottom. Cardwell trying to make his way towards the top line. He's got to run down the front straightaway. Now Cardwell within a car length and a half down the front straightaway. 3 laps to go, and Hewitt might be in trouble here as the 22 of Cardwell's got that momentum built up on the top side.
He's starting to really build up that speed as the laps continue to turn and as the group continues to wide out. The highest he's been now, way up the racetrack, within 1 car length down towards the flag stand. 3 to go this time by. Cardwell sends it in hard, continues to widen out the groove in 1 and 2 as Hewitt continues to plan it well in 1 and 2 on the bottom side.
And he had a good corner right there, pulled away a little bit from that JDR Graphics 22 car. Cardwell nearly hits the wall right there. 2 to go this time by, and Hewitt just hit the wall in the front straightaway. Hewitt kissed the wall off of turn number 4, nearly hits an infield tire, getting to turn number 1. Somehow was able to hang on to the race lead. The white flag coming this next time by, and Cardwell, he's got to get going right now.
He needs to close up another 0.3 of a second. Can he do is the question with the white flag out this time by. Lewis Hewitt again moves to the bottom of the racetrack, nearly smacks the inside wall, loses a ton of momentum as Hayden Cardwell gains some down the back straightaway. 1 last chance to send it. He goes for the major slide. He dives it hard to the inside. Hewitt tries to cross him up. Hewitt side by side will take the checker flag while Cardwell finishes in second.
My goodness, he went full send down into the corner. Hayden Cardwell, he knew he needed to win that heat race. He comes up just a little bit short. Lewis Hewitt gets the job done in car number 3, and he'll be on the pole of tonight's feature event. Hewitt wins it, Cardwell second, Kruger third, Cooper fourth. Those 4 move straight to the A-main event. And back behind, it was Lamy, Hannigan, Scott, and Batista. Here's your lineup for heat race number 2. And on the pole, it is your current points leader and the 2-time champion, the 12 of Alex Bergeron from Drummondville, Quebec, Canada. And on the outside of him, it's the number 98 car of Tim Ryan from Mandurah, Western Australia. Inside the second row, car number 211, it's Alex Smolders. And outside of him from Tracy, California, car 74, it's Adam Elby. Row 3, the 8 of Cole Newhoffen, and the number 9 car of Dustin Griffiths rolls off from P6.
Rounding out the top 8 drivers, Shea Powell will start in 7th tonight from Hanford, California, while Anthony Job will round out Heat Race 2's grid from Richmond, Indiana.
8 cars once again here, heat race number 2, as they are about to roll off from the starting grid. Looks like we're still waiting for 1 driver to make the call here, and that is Anthony Job. But wow, how about this front row right here? The only 2 drivers that have ever won a championship with this NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. The 12 of Bergeron's won it twice. Tim Ryan was the inaugural winner in 2018. He did not race there and I believe in 2019 did not race and did not race the year after that. So Ryan, after he won the championship, took a couple seasons off, but he's been back this year, got himself a win early on in the season, and was one of the championship favorites, but has slipped back to 5th in the points after only getting himself 3 top 5s throughout the 9 races we've ran so far. But Tim Ryan, we saw him pick up a win at one of the half-mile racetracks earlier this year, and if that's any telling of what he can do here tonight, he might be able to do another win here at this half-mile Williams Grove Speedway.
Taking a look at the stat line, though, for Alex Bergeron as well, and it's been a dominant stretch for him with 4 victories so far on the campaign, with 7 top 5s, but 3 poles. One of the top lead lap totals as well in the campaign. You see 167 of them, in fact, scored so far throughout the campaign, helping him with this points lead at the moment. How tight it is either way. But still, it's been a hot stretch overall you have to consider for Bergeron, because there has been a stretch where he's won 3 of the past 4 or so prior to tonight's action.
Yeah, and you might be thinking to yourself, if you're watching this, how in the world is Hayden Cardwell so close? But Bergeron's got 4 wins. You know, Cardwell's got 2, but he's got 1 more top 5 than Bergeron. And so that's kind of what's kept him close to him throughout the year. A little bit of contact here coming to the green between the 98 and the 12 of Bergeron. Bergeron gets on the throttle, but Ryan and Bergeron kind of bang wheels coming to the line right there. Not sure what that was all about, but we're green into turn number 1.
Off and away as Bergeron pulls away by a couple car lengths. Tim Ryan already holding on to second. Adam Elby shuffles his way to third. The battle is on for fourth, though. Cole Newhoffen needing to gain points for the relegation line. Battling hard for that spot with Alex Smulders. Dustin Griffiths now lines back up. Shea Powell rounds out the grouping as they all change up the lines in 1 and 2.
Yeah, top of the racetrack's where you want to be at right now in 1 and 2, keeping that speed up as the 12 of Bergeron tries to run away and hide from the 98 car of Tim Ryan. Bergeron nearly clips the wall on the exit of turn number 4 right there, but pulls some ground on the Logitech G Altus Esports car number 98 of Tim Ryan. Back behind him is the 74 of Elby and the number 8 of Cole Newhoffen right now in the final transfer spot.
And most of the drivers taking different approaches to that top line. Some going right up to the Armco and tapping it just about nearly, while others are trying to give a little bit of space by half a car length to give themselves some buffer. Alex Bergeron, though, continues to pull off and away while Tim Ryan looks to send it to his inside. Nearly make contact with its tires. 6 laps to go this time. Bergeron back on the defense.
And I think Tim Ryan might have just found something right there, JP, as he tried throwing a slider, but he actually gained some ground on the 12 of Bergeron. He'll try it once again down here in 1 and 2. Tim Ryan through the middle of the speedway has got something working right there. You can clearly tell that he's a little bit better in 1 and 2.
Yeah, Ryan's trying it now in 3 and 4 as well, and it looks like not as much speed up down there, but right there, you've seen Bergeron nearly tap that wall. That was one of the main focal points of last year, where it led to the bottom line being quicker down the front straightaway, in some cases in side-by-side fights. That could open up the door for Ryan in this scrap, and Bergeron slides up the track with 4 laps to go and looks to pull away.
And you can see Bergeron switched up the line. He saw the 98 of Tim Ryan was coming out. Ryan once again, he'll drive it in deep, tries to throw a slider for the race lead, and Bergeron's going to drive around on the outside while Tim Ryan is not messing around here tonight as Bergeron goes back on the defense in 3 and 4. Ryan rolls the bottom. They're side by side off turn number 4.
And now this is going to be where it's very critical of the lines. Bergeron now playing major defense. A bit of scrape to the wall, to the inside, retaining walls for Tim Ryan that time. Underneath the bridge they go as Bergeron elects to go on the defense back on the bottom side. Ryan goes lower, though. Up the track goes Bergeron. Here comes Ryan. Ryan takes the lead of the stripe. 2 to go.
Oh! They get together at the end of the straightaway. Bergeron hits the wall. Adam Elby goes by Bergeron back to the inside. This could be a crucial moment here tonight at the Williams Grove Speedway. Contact between your race leaders in Heat Race 2, but Bergeron gets back by Elby.
Alex Smulders and Cole Newhoffen make contact with the bubble spot as well, with the white flag out this time by Chase. Everything starting to heat up. Dustin Griffiths is now in 4th spot, and Bergeron needs to hold on to this spot to hold on to a tie for the points in the heat.
And here we come to the checkered flag. Tim Ryan is your race winner. I cannot believe what I just saw there as Ryan and Bergeron down the straightaway getting together. Bergeron not happy on the race radio right now. Ending up 2nd, Elby 3rd, Griffiths in 4th. Great run for him. Shea Powell 5th, Alex Smulders, Cole Newhoffen, Anthony Job does not make the call. But wow, 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 things are already getting interesting here tonight as we get set to go for our third heat race. The 17 car of Cameron Merriman, he will be on the pole in this one in car number 17. Outside of him is the 52 car of James Edens. He's from Santa Rosa, California. Row 2 on the inside, the 18 of Austin Selman. He is from Brookfield, Wisconsin. And outside of him, car number 5, Braden Eiler, and he's from Franklin, Pennsylvania. Row 3, the 56 of Brett Wheeler. And outside of Wheeler, it's the number 2 car of Daniel Gow.
Rounding up the field in Heat Race 3 tonight is Ryan Mayer, based out of the state of Wisconsin. We'll see how he does the 915 machine, as he'll be starting shotgun for these competitors in this one.
Man, oh man, things have just gotten so interesting here over the course of these last 2 heat races. And we talked about it, man, heat race points. If Bergeron would have won that heat race, he would have extended his point lead by 1 and would have gotten, made it out to a 3-point advantage right there. But I'm not sure what Tim Ryan or whose fault that was. I couldn't really tell you. It was just some hard racing. Obviously, both guys wanting to go for the win. But that will now set up Bergeron and Cardwell on the same row for this A-main event. They'll both start on row number 3.
Well, keep in mind that, first of all, Tim Ryan's in that fight with Tyler Schell to try and build a buffer for a top 5 run in the championship standings since return to the series. But for 2, they were fighting hard for that position from the get-go, with the track position on the line, the outside front row on the line as well. It just got close, essentially, with how they were defending hard and just where they converged down the straightaway. I know there's going to be a lot of different viewpoints on that chase, but some may see it as a racing deal because of how tight the racing was and how hard the fighting was amongst those competitors. But for obvious reasons, that's going to be another potential turning point towards the championship, where Bergeron could have gained a crucial point there.
Yeah, at this point, that point right there, maybe come next week at Charlotte, maybe have won him this championship. And that'll be something we'll keep tabs on. Not only this week, but next week. We might refer back to that if things come down to being a very close fight between those 2 guys, which at this point in time, it is looking like that could be the case here as we get set to go for our third heat race. Cameron Merriman has had a great season, picked up his first win at Wheat Sports Speedway. James Edens is on the biggest hot streak of them all, though, with 3 second-place finishes in a row. Green flag is out. We're ready to go. Heat race number 3.
Off and away goes Cameron Merriman, of course, with that win earlier this season at Wheat Sport, with a great launch with James Edens looking to gain momentum. Edens with a ton of it coming into tonight. He looks to try and run the middle lines as well as the rest of the groupings. The only driver to the top is Brett Wheeler. He's in a fight for the back of the field. The rest of the cars, though, starting to scrape the walls. The 2 car of Daniel Gow scraped the right side tires against the fence down the front.
And Gow is trying to track down the 18 of Austin Selman for the 4th and final transfer spot. Now it's 2 Australians going at it for 5th. Brett Wheeler on the inside, Daniel Gow on the outside. And down into 3 and 4, Gow still going to have the spot. Now Gow with a run on Selman down the front straightaway. He cannot quite get by him here as they work back into 1 and 2. Your race leader still the 17 of Merriman. Then Edens, and now Eiler challenging Edens for 2nd.
That's currently a buffer about half a second right now as Ira loses a ton of time in 3 and 4, trying to gain momentum though for the corner exit. Gains a little bit back, gains a buffer back to Austin Selman. 6 to go this upcoming time by in Heat Race 3 as Ira now looks to try and gain himself some track position. Edens losing a bit of time now to Merriman as Merriman pulls up and away by half a second.
You can already see this racetrack is starting to get very slick on the entry to the corner. That's kind of throwing these guys for a loop here. The 17 of Merriman very good up front right now. And James Edens struggling a little bit. As you see the 5 of Eiler once again tracking him down. But a great race going on back behind those guys. The 18 of Selman and the 2 of Gow. Those guys going at it. Here comes Gow to the inside down the front straightaway for the transfer spot.
After that mistake from Gow early on in this race, he wants that position back. He slides past Selman. Austin Selman goes back to the inside for the crossback. Into turn 3, Selman with the momentum on the major slide. Up towards the wall he goes. Has to let off the gas. Selman drags against the fence. Gow takes the position back. 4 to go is nearly making contact as Gow sets up the slider back.
And now a race for 2nd down the back straightaway. They're side by side. Eiler on the inside. Edens on the outside. Here comes the slider. No, the 5 of Eiler will try and roll the bottom of the speedway. James Edens doesn't like that. He'll go right back by him down the front straightaway. Great stuff here for 2nd. Great stuff for the transfer spot as Gow and Selman still going at it off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway.
Gow preferring the top line now as Selman trying to defend on the bottom of the racetrack. Here comes Ryan Mayer to make it a 3-car scrap for 4th. Mayer not able to stick it though with the momentum. Brett Wheeler loses the momentum coming off the corner in the scrap. Daniel Gow goes to the bottom. Selman now defends on the bottom side of the racetrack. White flag coming up this time by.
White flag is out this time by your race leader. Up front, though, here comes the 5 of Eiler once again going to the bottom. 4-car scrap for the 4th and final transfer, but for second, Eiler down to the inside, turn 1. Here comes the slider for P2. James Edens taps the brake, turns it back to the inside. They're almost dooring each other down the back straightaway. They're contact right there in the corner, but it looks like the 17 of Merriman is going to get the win. Edens in second over Eiler, and fourth will go to Austin Selman in a hotly contested race there in heat race number 3. That was great stuff all throughout the field.
I'm going to say tempers are going to be overflowing with those purple cars. Daniel Gao, Ryan Mayer actually made contact coming off turn 4, coming to the white flag chase, and that lost them their chance to try to attack Austin Settlement. Those drivers are going to be having a hotly contested LCQ likely as a result of that one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's take a look here at our 4th and final heat race lineup. The 00 car of Kendall Tucker. He's out of Mount Airy, North Carolina, driving for Swindell Speed Lab Esports. He's on the pole. And outside of him for Slick Sim Sport, the number 14 car of J.D. Brown from Bakersfield, California. Row 2 on the inside, the 85 of Tyler Schell from Millersburg, Pennsylvania. And the 27 car of Colton Davis. He's from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Row 3 on the inside, the 71 car. That's Cole Cabrey. And on the outside, car number 80, Joshua Steinke from Plymouth, Wisconsin.
Rounding out the field in this one is Tyler Ducharme, who we've seen carry a lot of speed in recent times. The 25, though, based out of Vermont, will have to start shotgun for this final heat race and see how he does here. He was one of the few drivers who had some struggles in qualifying, Chase.
He sure did. No doubt about it, as Kendall Tucker and J.D. Brown will lead the field of green here in this one. And Kendall Tucker, man, he had such a great start to the season there, Justin. He's got 4 top 5s on the year, and at the beginning, I think the first, 4 races or so, he was a threat for the victory, but the last couple weeks, man, things have just gone downhill for Tucker. Fortunately, he had a good enough buffer back to 4th place, so he's still 3rd in the championship, but, you know, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, Justin, I would have considered Kendall Tucker a threat for this championship.
Yeah, so did I at this point, but just didn't have the luck go his way in a couple of the races. He's had top 5 speed the whole season. It's just hasn't been able to break through into victory lane, nor has he been able to essentially keep up with the top 5 consistency as the other competitors fighting for the championship in front of him. Any other season, he'd be likely in the mix for the title. It's a great season. It's just Bergeron and Cardwell have done better this year.
I think that's a great point. I mean, 4 top 5s is still pretty good with the competition that we've seen with the series this year, but just not good enough here in 2021 to take home the title. The pace truck is pulling off the speedway. It will now put the field in the hands of Tucker and Brown. Off of turn number 4, Kendall Tucker is on the throttle. Gets a great start. Also a great start for the 85 of Tyler Schell as he's looking to the inside of J.D. Brown for second.
Bit of contact running in the battle for 4th position. Cole Cabrey hit the back end of the car in front of him. Colton Davis now holding on to the bubble spot for now. Now to the bottom side goes Tyler Ducharme. 3, 4, 1 for position. Tyler Schell making contact with Davis. They bang tires. They hold on to it as Ducharme moves underneath both of them. He looks to take away the bubble spot and nearly does. 3 wide off the corner.
Holy cow, you can already see why I love this racetrack. 3 wide, 4 wide. These guys are going at it for the 3rd spot. Ducharme on the bottom's got it, but Schell off the top side. He'll have the 3rd spot at the line, and they're all 3 tracking out J.D. Brown. They split Brown through 1 and 2, and down the back straightaway, Tyler Schell's up to 2nd.
Colton Davis now looking to try and find some space. A bit of contact between Brown and Ducharme. That loses momentum off at 3 and 4 as Ducharme bobbles. Colton Davis now takes away the bottom side. Still 3 wide as Colton Davis slides his way into the spot. Brown now makes it 3 wide on the outside with Ducharme on the inside. Davis again gets squeezed out. 6 to go in heat race 4, and Davis now loses the momentum as he finally drops back a touch.
J.D. Brown trying to go back to the outside of Tyler Ducharme. He hit the wall off of turn number 4. Ducharme still got 3rd. Davis back to the inside of Brown for the 4th and final transfer spot. And here comes the 71 of Cole Cabrey. He's got that momentum built up on the top of the racetrack. Looking to the outside of Davis for 5th. This race is not over for the transfer. It's not over for the 3rd spot yet as J.D. Brown is all over Ducharme down the front straightaway.
It's going to be very busy, to say the very least. Colton Davis going to want to try and pass by his teammate here to try and get some valuable points here. Battle for the race lead, though. Still sees Kendall Tucker and Tyler Schell fighting aggressively between those 2 drivers. They're within 5 car lengths. J.D. Brown is having problems. He's around and collects Joshua Steinke.
And now that leaves 3 drivers back there. 3rd on back, Ducharme, Cabrey, and Davis all going for 4 transfer spots here. Davis on the outside looking in the 5th position. He's got to get to 4th if he does not want to run a B-main. But now Cabry off the top of the racetrack gets a great run on Tyler Ducharme and leaves the 27 to Davis in the dust up front, though. Shell all over Kendall Tucker for the race lead back into turn number 3.
They've had some great battles in the past week or so at this racetrack. Tucker, though, loses the lead for the moment. Near contact down the front stretch. 2 to go. Here comes the slide from Shell. He tries to go up to the cushion. Crossover back from Kendall Tucker down the back stretch. Near contact again as Kendall Tucker gives the squeeze. He defends to the bottom of the racetrack. Shell goes right underneath as contact behind them. Ducharme and Cabry slam into the wall.
Cabry's upside down, but the white flag is in the air. Tyler Ducharme is your new Tyler Shell, I should say, is your new race leader. Kendall Tucker going to try and put one last move on him here in 3 and 4. Down the back straightaway, Tucker goes to the top, Shell to the bottom. Off of turn number 4, might be a drag race to the line, but no, it will be Tyler Shell stealing the win with just 2 laps to go to get the job done in heat race number 4. Kendall Tucker in 2nd, Colton Davis 3rd, and Tyler Ducharme will end up in 4th with J.D. Brown 5th, Cole Cabry, and Joshua Steinke in the 7th spot. Man, oh man, this racetrack is putting on a show, and we're only in the heat races here, Justin.
Yeah, Shell looked really good on the bottom of that racetrack in the late stage of that heat. That's going to be telling signs to see what happens once they get towards the races themselves, Chase. It's going to be fun to see how this track works its way in. I think we're seeing those lines develop as you discussed, where drivers, they either prefer that bottom line where they can just slowly rotate it around and carry momentum off in the corner if they can and try and gain some time at the bottom of the racetrack in the shorter distance, or they can carry that momentum and speed on the top line and try and carry it off the corner.
No doubt about it. This racetrack puts on some great racing. We've already seen that here tonight as we get ready to go here for our first of 2 B main events. Greg Lamy on the front row, and on the outside of him, the 56X of Brett Wheeler. Row 2 on the inside, the 1X of Mason Hannigan, and the number 2 car of Daniel Gow. Third row, the 37 of Zane Scott, and the 915 car of Ryan Mayer.
Rounding out the drivers in this respective LCQ is John Batista in the 54 machine. Looking like it's going to be an interesting one to say the very least, with some of these drivers trying to recover from some of the mistakes from earlier on. LeMay and Wheeler, they had some decent speed. Mason Hannigan, I'm keeping my eye on, though, Chase, especially in this one, with some of the speed he's had coming into tonight and some of the momentum he's been having in some of the recent races.
Yeah, Mason Hannigan, man, he seems like if he doesn't make the transfer out of the heat race, he's always very close or fighting for it in the heat race. But then when it comes to the B main, these LCQs, he always seems to be putting on a show, trying to put it in the show, or trying to put it in the A main event. So Hannigan will definitely be one to watch. Daniel Gow, though, in my opinion, was one of the cars that I think should have transferred out of one of those heat races, battling with Austin Selman, but unfortunately got in an incident there with a couple laps to go in his respective heat race. Puts him 4th on the grid here for this LCQ, and he's got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, and you have Brian Mayer, who was the car he tangled up with right behind him, and quietly in all of this, too. You have Zane Scott, who we haven't seen too much of so far in terms of the pace, yet he's been towards the back end of his respective races so far. In other words, this is going to be where, if you've been able to get your track preferences the way you have it right, as well as adjust your car to the proper track changes to where the slick is built up, especially with a lot of it built up right against the wall down the back straightaway, and a lot of it, as we've seen in the past, built up along the bottom of the racetrack down the front stretch. It's going to be critical to be able to carry that speed, to be able to pull off some sliders and get into the top 2.
Yeah, remember, top 2 finishers move to the back of the A main event. First LCQ is green. 12 laps the distance here down the front straightaway, and your race leader is Greg LeMay in car number 99. He pulls out with the race lead off of turn number 2. Back behind him, already 3 wide for 2nd between Brett Wheeler, Mason Hannigan, and here comes the 37 of Zane Scott in the mix as well.
Zane Scott working his way in some of that slick along that bottom of the racetrack now, trying to gain a bit of momentum and making contact. He already hits Daniel Gow. Ends up collecting Brett Wheeler as Wheeler gets shuffled to the back of the field. Mason Hannigan, as a result, builds up a buffer, but Daniel Gow gets through it the cleanest. He's now within spinning distance of a fight and actually hits the back end of him.
Man, he got into the back of him right there through 3 and 4. Now the 9:15 of Ryan Mayer. He'll take a look to the outside of Daniel Gao down the front straightaway. Man, Gao is so good here in car number 2, but just is nowhere to go. Now Hannigan for the race lead down the back straightaway to the inside of LeMay. And Mason Hannigan, as we mentioned there before they went green, was the one to watch for here in car number 1X, and he is challenging up front for the race lead.
And it also helps that the Air Purple cars are fighting behind them as well to gain a bit of a buffer. There's that bottom line coming in. Shorter way around, able to carry a ton of speed down the back straightaway. Can he get clear in 3 and 4? He tries to ride the bottom again. Answer is no. LeMay still able to carry decent speed down alongside the wall. 8 laps to go. Hannigan still looking to fight hard on the inside line.
And they pulled away a little bit now from the battling cars of Daniel Gao and Ryan Mayer. They've got about a half straightaway lead, so the 1X and the 99 car do not need to be going too crazy here as LeMay hits the fence off at turn number 4. And that allows the 2 of Daniel Gao to closing significantly off the 4th corner. Just as I was saying there, Justin, they don't really need to be going too crazy. The 99 bounces off the fence, and now Wheeler and Gao get together down the backstretch. They're wrecking.
And that ends up collecting Ryan Mayer in the worst of it. Brett Wheeler, significant damage. Zane Scott able to get through. Daniel Gao able to get on through. And now it is a gap of 0.9 of a second up to Gregory LeMay. The question is, can Gao close up the gap in the span of 5.5 laps? We'll have to wait and see, as it's a 0.6 of a second gap between Hannigan and LeMay at the front.
And now Daniel Gao plants the right rear tire up next to the wall, trying to track him down. LeMay a little bit sideways and squirrely off the 4th corner. That allows the 2 of Gao to close in just a little bit more. Last time by, Gao's lap was an 18.086 and LeMay with an 18.330. So the 2 car of Gao definitely closing in a lot here up on the top of the racetrack. Big diamond off the corner, off of turn number 4. And here comes Daniel Gao closing in with 4 to go.
That's still right behind this 1X machine that is still working his way to the bottom side. Compare that to Gregory LeMay's line, where he's preferring the middle to top line still. Here's a look on board from Daniel Gao's machine as he tries to wheel it up on the top, trying to diamond off 3 and 4. Try and carry that momentum and keep it away from that tight wall that's been forcing cars to lift. He goes to the bottom once again, while LeMay slides it all the way to the outside wall, nearly to the track exit as they go underneath the bridge.
Fantastic camera angle right there, as you can see just how close these guys are getting to the inside wall and the tractor tires. Here comes Gao once again to the inside, gets side by side off the corner, but LeMay with the momentum on the high side maintains second. White flag next time by Daniel Gao. If he wants to get it, he's got to go now. As the white comes out this next time by, Daniel out of the inside, he'll try and roll the bottom once again. He's got second from out, but LeMay once again off the top of the racetrack's got it back.
Still not able to get the run quite yet. Has 1, maybe 2 more shots to do it again with the white flag out. Mason Hannigan now getting reeled in, has lost half a second the past couple. He's got the big buffer. LeMay now looks to defend, goes all the way up to the top. Here comes Daniel Gao with a massive send. Contact!
Oh!
Gao! They get loose. Gao hits the incident limit. And LeMay will move on as a result with Mason Hannigan.
Oh my goodness, what a finish to that one. And as you mentioned there, Daniel Gao hits the incident cap, which means he ran into too many race cars, and it puts him 5th. He was, 20 feet away from the finish line right there, Justin?
Give or take. My goodness. But that's the price of making contact with a lot of race cars, as you said, and that cost him a chance in the feature.
Holy cow, that was some drama right there. Let's get ready for our final LCQ of the night. And it will be the 21 of Shea Paolo from Hanford, California on the front row. And next to him, it is his fellow Californian, J.D. Brown from Bakersfield. Row 2, the 211 of Alex Smulders and the 71 of Cole Cabry. And in the third row, it's Cole Newhoffen and the 80 of Joshua Steinke.
Rounding out the drivers, Anthony Job, who has been dealing with technical issues throughout the night, not able to make it to the starting grid either. That leaves 6 cars with a chance to battle for the final 2 spots. And keep in mind, there are several fast drivers here, to give an understatement and a half there. From J.D. Brown to Cole Cabry to Cole Newhoffen, we've seen all of them have consistent pace throughout the night so far, Chase. All of those drivers are going to be fast here.
And I can't legitimately look at this field right here and say, there's the 2 guys that are transferring. All 7 of these guys on the track right now. What is there, 6 or 7? Did Joe make the call? He did not. So 6 cars going for 2 spots. I think they all have a legitimate shot to transfer in here. So this is going to be really exciting. We saw Cole Cabry get upside down in his heat race. Newhoffen also got the wall. But I think the one to watch for right here, a guy that goes really, really good on the big racetracks, the 211 of Alex Smulders.
Yeah, Smulders has been looking impressive throughout the night, was one of the quicker drivers in final practices. As well, though, his lines have been consistent. He's been making very minimal mistakes. It's just he hasn't been able to necessarily get into the actual bubble spot to be able to try and lock himself in so far tonight. So I'm interested to see how he does. And keep in mind, Shea Powell was running towards the back end of his respective heats early on. We'll see if he prefers this tackier, this more slicker track now.
Well, let's see. Let's see if it pays off here for the 21 of Shea Powell. Green flag is in the air. Remember, the top two move to the back of the A main event. 12 laps. The LCQ, the second one is underway. We're already going 3 wide. Up at the front of the field, your race leader is the 21 of Powell down the back straightaway. Here comes Cole Cabrey, the run on J.D. Brown in the back straightaway as they work back into 3 and 4. 3 wide for the lead.
3 wide now for second, back to 2 wide. A couple rows deep as J.D. Brown nearly makes contact with Cole Cabrey. They go back up to the top wall. Shea Powell, though, preferring the bottom of the racetrack. Nearly rotates it, though. Here comes the slick Simsport machine to his outside. Bit of a checkup effect now as Powell in the elbows up. Simsport machine gets the elbows hit from behind as that shuffles Brown back to 4.
And here comes Steinke. He started 6th on the field. He's already into the 3rd spot after 3 laps. So Joshua Steinke, he may have started last in this thing, but it didn't matter. He's already challenging for 2nd down the back straightaway. The 71 of Cabrey right in front of him. They both go to the top of the racetrack. Meanwhile, your race leader, Shea Powell, on the bottom. And here comes Cabrey on the top of the racetrack trying to take the race lead away.
So many different lines coming into play throughout this respective LCQ. Now, Steinke preferring the bottom of the racetrack. Cabrey prefers the top along with Shea Powell this time. Brown, though, wants his spots back. He looks to go and dive underneath for 3rd spot. Slides it hard. Nearly gets into Cole Cabrey's car. He over-rotates off of turn 4. Now Steinke loses momentum. Oh, well, Cabrey goes for the race lead in turns 1 and 2. Cabrey clears on by. Crossover back from Powell.
Cole Cabrey had the lead for a moment, but Shea Powell says not so fast. He'll take the race lead right back. Now the 21 car goes back to the top of the racetrack, and he pulls away from Cabrey down the front straightaway. Now Cabrey into the clutches here almost of the 14 car of J.D. Brown. Brown not out of this thing quite yet. Everybody on the top of the speedway through 1 and 2. It seems like in 3 and 4, though, you can go just about anywhere and make up some speed.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen drivers be able to send it right down, right next to the tractor tires and try and carry a lot of momentum for the sliders. We've seen drivers carry it up against the cushion, still carry decent momentum down the front straightaway so far. But with 5 to go this time by, halfway at that time by the stripe, it's going to be critical with all these fightings going on for 3rd and all these cars bouncing off each other for the top 2 to run away as they're 3 wide again for 3rd.
3 wide for 3rd, but that doesn't mean anything. These guys are not in transfer spots as J.D. Brown throws it into the corner very hard. You have a new race leader. The 71 of Cabrey takes the spot. They make contact down the back straightaway. Contact between the 71 and the 21. And that now allows the 8 of Newhoff and the 14 of Brown and the 80 of Steinke to close it just a little bit more here on Powell, who's not done with the race lead quite yet.
Tempers are flaring with a bit more contact going into turn 1 that time. Coming up to 3 to go this time. Cabrey also had smacked the wall in turns 3 and 4. They both go to the wall in 3 and 4 this time by. This has all allowed J.D. Brown, Cole Newhoff, and Alex Smulders right back in the midst of things. Powell tries to wedge his way up the wall. Cabrey gives the squeeze. Here comes Newhoff and down to the bottom.
Oh, baby, this is about to get real interesting right here for the final 2 laps. This time by 2 to go in the final LCQ. Shea Powell right in the back pocket of of Cabrey, and here comes Newhoff right behind him. They're side by side for 3rd, and they're all over Shea Powell for 2nd. Powell goes to the bottom in 1 and 2. White flag next time by. J.D. Brown and Cole Newhoff trying to punch their ticket to the feature event.
He's going to need to run away if you're Shea Powell at this point with the white flag out this time by. Cole Newhoff still having a scrap with J.D. Brown. This is going to be right what Shea Powell wants to see as J.D. Brown gets hit. He gets smashed into the wall. Shea Powell now looks to run away. Checker flag waits up at the stand.
Here we go, checker this time by. Shea Powell might have it in hand, and indeed he does. He will finish 2nd with the final transfer spot. The 21 car is going to race in the feature tonight at Williams Grove Speedway. Your race winner was the 71 of Cole Cabrey. Those 2 will keep their hopes alive here tonight. Newhoff and Smulders, Steinke, Brown, and Job, the field there in the final LCQ of the night. And boy, oh boy, is this racetrack in tip-top shape here for a 35-lap main event. We'll be right back here on DirtVision.com for tonight's 9th round of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Drink Sprint Car Series. Don't go anywhere.
every race live. The greatest shows on dirt from coast to coast, and now worldwide for only $39 a month. Watch the World of Outlaws, NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars, the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Models, and the Dirt Cars Summer Nationals Hell Tour with one Fast Pass for only $39. Now, catch the greatest racing action down under with sprint cars, late models, and midgets from iconic Australian venues all year long. Live. Hundreds of races. One Fast Pass. $39 a month. DirtVision.com. Subscribe today.
Welcome back to Williams Grove Speedway for the penultimate round of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. My name is Chase Rodman, joined by Justin Prince. And Justin, we've seen some incredible racing action here tonight throughout the heat races and the LCQs. And we are just about ready to turn the best dirt sim racers on iRacing.com loose for 35 laps. And oh boy, we've got ourselves one hell of a championship battle shaping up here.
Got tied in the total heat points scored in the respective competitors for Hayden Cardwell and Alex Bergeron. Plus, you have several of the drivers who are fighting for relegation points and the top 10, mind you, who have had some wild and interesting nights. You can see right now how things have shaped out. Still 2 points, that differential so far. Kendall Tucker now going to have to fight hard with James Edens as well, though. You can see for third position. Tim Ryan still having to fight hard with Tyler Schell, who's got a lot of pace, for fifth. So these championship points are going to be in constant flux throughout the night and going to be constantly close, to say the very least now.
Let's take a look at the relegation points here, what these guys from 15th on back are looking like, because their points also are very, very close. And I think it was the 8 car of Cole Newhoffen that came in tonight, very, very close. Yeah, look, 12 points ahead of the 211 of Smolders, and both of them missed the main event here tonight, Justin. So that will come down to next week with the 1X of Mason Hannigan. He's in. I believe the 27 of Colton Davis. Is he in? Justin, I kind of forgot. I don't think he made it.
Well, Colton Davis, yes. Colton Davis is in,
okay.
First of all,
so,
yes.
Yeah, those two guys will definitely close in. And that relegation line is going to be super, super close next week as well.
Yes, it's going to be very tight, I think, and it's going to get even more tighter as the night goes on and the laps are turned. Because here's one of the main things, too. J.D. Brown not able to make tonight's feature. Adam Elby, meanwhile, did. Settleman's going to have to start towards the back of the field. In other words, some of these drivers are going to be in situations where, to make sure they're locked in, they're going to need some luck, like J.D. Brown. But for others, as long as they have decent performances tonight, they don't have to panic. So there's some situations where the alarm bells are going to be going off, where in other cases, there's going to be a lot of panic potentially going on for some of these drivers after some of the races, because especially with the LCQs that got some of the drivers like Hayden Cardwell even up out of his seat apparently while watching on with the action, it's been crazy. And there's a reason you want the heat, as many heat points as you can, and not just because of the points themselves, but because it means you don't have to race through the LCQs.
And nobody wants to run the LCQs because it seems like every week it's an absolute dogfight for those two spots. But the track just got opened up for 1 minute of practice here for these drivers. Only got about 15 seconds left, so they can get a little bit of a feel for this racetrack. But the thing I'm going to be watching here tonight, Justin, is the slick on the straightaways. That's kind of what's been throwing a lot of these guys around here. When you're up in the slick on the straightaways and you're wide open, it kind of dances the rear end around a little bit, and you can't really go wide open on the straightaway. These guys are going to be trying to kind of swerve down on the straightaways, grab that moisture, stay full throttle, but sometimes when you're side by side, you can't do that.
Absolutely, and that's where we've seen some of the trickiness too, especially since cars have been getting so tight against one another, Chase, that we've seen bits of contact, we've seen bits of near contact. Would be shocked to see that a couple times as well for the battle for the race, late even throughout the night, but it's about to get fun. It's the question of who gets the valuable points by the end of the night to set themselves up for the dirt track at Charlotte in a great position.
Let's take a look at the starting lineup for round number 9 of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series from Williams Grove Speedway. It's a pair of Australians on the front row, the 3 of Lewis Hewitt from Adelaide, South Australia, and outside him, the number 98 car of Tim Ryan from Mandurah, Western Australia. Row 2 on the inside, the 17 of Cameron Merriman, a winner at the Weed Sports Speedway a few weeks back, and the 85 of Tyler Schell with a great shot to pick up his first series win here tonight. Row 3 is where things get very interesting. The top 2 in the championship separated by just 2 points. Heading into this main event, the 22 of Hayden Cardwell from Knoxville, Tennessee, and the 12 of Alex Bergeron from Drummondville, Quebec, Canada will start 6th.
A lot of drivers based in California in the grouping from 7th all the way to 12th, starting with James Edens coming from Santa Rosa, California. For Kendall Tucker, he's from Mount Airy, North Carolina. For Rusty Kruger, he starts from Fair Oaks, California. Alongside Adam Elby. Adam Elby is from Tracy, California. Brian Eiler will start from Franklin, Pennsylvania in row 6 alongside Colton Davis. Colton Davis from Broken Arrow, California.
Row number 7 on the inside, your 13th starter tonight, the 35 car of Nick Cooper. He's from Waterloo, New York. And outside him, car number 9, Dustin Griffiths, coming to us from Bloomington, Indiana. Row 8 on the inside, 18 car of Austin Selman. He comes to us from Brookfield, Wisconsin. The number 25 car of Tyler Ducharme from Beaumessine, Vermont. Row 9, the 1X of Mason Hannigan from Pittsburgh, Indiana. And the 71 car of Cole Cabry from Tampa, Florida.
Rounding out the field is Gregor LeMay from Birdsboro, Indiana. And for Shea Powell, he resides from Hanford, California. He runs from the back of the field in 20th tonight.
Here we go. 20 cars, 35 laps. The penultimate round of the iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Take a pick, maybe make a friendly wager with your friend. Who do you think's going to win here tonight at Williams Grove Speedway? Will we see a first-time winner? Or will Cardwell, Bergeron, Merriman, will any of those guys visit victory lane once again here, or even Tim Ryan? We're about to find out here. Williams Grove Speedway prepped and ready to rip here. For 35 times around, Lewis Hewitt and Tim Ryan off the front row. Green flag is in the air. We're underway here at Williams Grove.
And a great launch for Lewis Hewitt as he gets himself clear off in the turn 1. Several cars scattered, 3, 4, nearly 5 wide in some cases. Hewitt trying to work the top of the line on the track. Tim Ryan trying to get himself clear of Cameron Merriman. Merriman, though, tries to dive it right underneath. To the slide for the race lead. Tim Ryan to the point. Merriman now to the bottom. His contact in the heart of the pack. Caution.
Cardwell went around. Hayden Cardwell got into the back of Alex Bergeron, hit the infield wall, and goes around. And I don't know where they're going to score Hayden Cardwell here, but this might be the end of the championship right here for the 22 car. That might be one he cannot recover from. Here is the replay. You'll see it right here. Cardwell and Bergeron both fighting for the bottom. Cardwell really nails it in the center of the corner, but gets into the left rear tire and then hits the infield wall, spins around. And yes, he will be at the back of the field. And that right there might be the turning point. That might be the end of it right there for that driver.
That is huge. That is absolutely huge. That is similar damage, if not worse damage, Chase 2, to what Bergeron had with lap traffic as a result of that incident on that front end of the race car. It's now to where you have to wonder if Cardwell is going to be able to wound a damaged race car to the front, where he's done it in the past, but it's not going to be easy. If anything, this puts Bergeron, as talked about, in the driver's seat in 6th position. He's got a clean race car with how tight it was and how close they got throughout that corner.
I mean, at this point, Bergeron just needs to ride around. He doesn't even need to go for the victory. He could run 5th and be sitting in really, really good position here coming into next week at Charlotte. But Cardwell, we've seen it. As we mentioned, we've seen him drive from the back and make his way into the top 5. But tonight at Williams Grove Speedway, with how racy it is, with how many guys are throwing crazy moves and things are going on, I really don't see him making it back maybe to the top 10. Maybe the top 10, but top 5 is going to be quite the stretch here.
Yeah.
But maybe he'll prove us wrong here. As obviously he's got damage too.
Yeah, the damage is going to be the big thing to see if it affects him the most, especially as well as his composure from that incident. But he's starting from 20th position for this restart. Remember, he started from the back before in this series and has made up 10 spots in a corner. I don't know if he can do the same tonight, but he's got a lot of time to get it done.
Hey, he's got to hope for a couple well-timed yellows here as the green flag is back in the area. Race leader is the car number 3 of Lewis Hewitt, trying to grab his first ever World Championship Series victory here tonight. Tim Ryan is in 2nd, Cameron Merriman in 3rd, Tyler Schell 4th, and in 5th right now it is the 52 car of James Edens. And if my eyes are not deceiving me, it looks like Edens might be running without a nose wing right now.
I believe you're right. Yes, indeed. He has no front wing on that race car. From that incident, a couple drivers have some front wing damage that could be affecting their race cars throughout the night. For Edens, though, he's still doing well. Tim Ryan, though, continues to slam the outside wall. It shuffled him to the heart of the pack as a result. From second to fifth, from 2 slams to the outside wall, 1 and 2, and now he slams the back into Bergeron's car.
And that's the second time those two have gotten together here tonight. Bergeron and Ryan might not be too happy with each other here at the Williams Grove Speedway. But up front, your race leader is still the 3 of Lewis Hewitt. He's challenged on the inside. Here comes Merriman. Side by side for the race lead on the back straightaway. Hewitt going to get clear of him back into turn number 3. Your top 3 all run the top of the racetrack. Bergeron, the first car on the bottom.
And Bergeron's seen Tyler Shell really be defensive to the point of 3 wide. Here comes Merriman to the race lead, though. Hewitt still comes in up top. 4 wide coming off the corner just about. Bergeron tries to get underneath Tyler Shell. Merriman lets off. Lets Bergeron go on the bottom. While Shell moves up to the top line and makes contact. Shell gets into the back end by Merriman. Bit of a squeeze back as Shell gets the lead lap.
They're 3 wide at the down the front straightaway. That time by for the race lead. Tyler Shell back to the top of the racetrack, and he will have the lead down the back straightaway. We remember back to Cedar Lake Speedway. Tyler Shell tracking down Alex Bergeron in the late stages of that one before going out of the ballpark. Can tonight be finally the place that Tyler Shell gets his first win with the World of Outlaws NOS Interchange Sprint Car Series? He leads on lap 7. There's still a long ways to go here tonight.
And we talk a lot about the preparation these drivers do. In some cases, thousands upon thousands of laps. Tyler Shell, his family members mentioned earlier tonight, have ran more than 20 official races in preparation for this race for the speed to battle with drivers like Bergeron. He's looking very well as Bergeron drives on the bottom side of the racetrack. This has been Bergeron's preferred line on the big tracks throughout the season, remember, Chase, to try and slow roll it against the inside part of the track and eventually ends up picking up pace with about 10 laps to go. Would that be the case tonight is the question.
Update on Hayden Cardwell. He is still in 18th position, so I think the damage might be too much for the 22 car. At this point, Bergeron, if he can get the win, it'll be the icing on the cake here, but second place will be huge for that number 12 machine here heading into Charlotte next week. The 85 of Shell, though, is very, very good and pulling away from Bergeron right now with 10 complete and 25 to go.
Keep in mind, the Hornet's Nest is still very active right now with several drivers still trying to sort themselves out. Majority of the pack has gone to the bottom side of the racetrack as well, but several others are trying that cushion. Several more, like James Eanes, are starting to struggle with the damage. Hayden Cardwell has only gotten into 18th position. The cars that got that significant damage from that incident at the start of the race, they are really going backwards. Shea Powell, you can also put in that grouping in 19th.
Great race going on for 4th right now. Lewis Hewitt, Rusty Kruger, and the 00 of Kendall Tucker. Now a race for the lead up front. Bergeron side by side with Shell off the corner. He can't quite get the job done yet, but Alex Bergeron has got the bottom of the speedway dialed in, especially in 3 and 4. Shell really good off at turn number 2, and you can see him pull away a little bit down the backstretch. But watch right here when Bergeron hits the bottom, JP.
Yeah, right. Perfect against that inside line. Shell, though, this time tries the diamond line. A bit of a scrape to the inside wall for Bergeron. Loses some momentum. They pulled away by nearly 2 seconds over Cameron Merriman, and Shell is now on the defense. Contact! Shell gets into the back end. Here comes Bergeron to the outside. Bergeron checks back up. Bergeron apologizes as Shell hits the inside part of the racetrack.
And Tyler Shell still with the race lead, hits the bottom very nicely off the 4th corner. Curious to see now what the 85 car does for the rest of this race. Back to the bottom in 1 and 2, and that might be where the 85 stays the rest of the race. If Bergeron really wants to win this thing, I think he's got to try and go to the top of the speedway because Shell is really dialing in that bottom right now.
Yeah, he is looking nice and dialed in as he goes up to the top line to get some of that moisture down for the bottom of the racetrack. All that scrapping is allowing Cameron Merriman to close in, though he's gaining now a 10th a lap as these two are focusing on in, while Lewis Hewitt and Kendall Tucker continue to scrap. They've lost a second to Merriman as a result of their scrap. Kendall Tucker, we talked about his consistency, looking for another top 5 to his totals, while Lewis Hewitt has looked very impressive tonight.
Yep, side by side back into turn number 1. The doubles drew of Tucker on the inside. Lewis Hewitt, your pole sitter, on the outside. Now Tucker's got the spot off of turn number 2, so Kendall Tucker is up to 4th. Lewis Hewitt back to 5th. Meanwhile, Hayden Cardwell is in 16th position. Makes it by Braden Eiler now into 15th. Cardwell needs a caution. He needs a wreck. He needs something to bring his spirits back up here and put him back in contention, but things are not looking up for the 22 car. Meanwhile, up front, it's still the 85 of Shell with the race lead.
Coming up to cross flags, up at the stand, this time by with 18 laps to go, halfway mark of the race. As right now, still Lewis Hewitt losing touch now to Kendall Tucker. Nick Cooper's right behind with a bit of a cushion. Keep in mind that Bergeron is still all over the back of Tyler Schell's car for the race lead at the moment. They are currently still working the bottom of the racetrack. Schell not giving an inch on the corner exits, trying not to give any space along the straightaways even for Bergeron to try and send it.
And this could be very interesting watching right here. I think the bottom of the racetrack here at Williams Grove is so technical, and it's very hard to hit correctly. And if you turn into the corner a little bit too early, you're going to get yourself in trouble by hitting one of those tires or maybe even the inside wall. And we've seen that happen here in the past with the race leader. So Schell, even with all that pressure on him to try and get that win after being so close at Cedar Lake, does not want to make a mistake as Bergeron all over him down the back straightaway.
There was a bit of a mistake there. Schell had to get off the gas. Now Schell's starting to struggle with Bergeron to the outside. Bergeron now starting to get a bit impatient. Merriman is now within 1 second. Bit of contact nearly once again coming off of turns 3 and 4 as Schell really started to weave and bobble around when he tried to get back on the throttle down the straightaways. Nearly does it again. Bergeron forced to back up once again. Merriman trying to close into these cars with the same line.
And now you can see Bergeron kind of running the middle through the corner, trying to keep his speed up a little bit. It's going to be out of the throttle a little bit more in the slick, but he really hits the bottom on the exit of the corner and closes back in on Schell. But as you mentioned, the 17 of Merriman has been the best car on the racetrack for at least the last 5 laps, closing in here, trying to make it a 3-car scrap for the race lead.
Merriman once again has lost a bit of time, though, to these cars for the time being. Will need a little bit more scrapping to get realistically towards that mark to be able to attack. He is still 5 car lengths behind Alex Bergeron now with 13 to go, coming up to 12 laps to go. Schell now starting to gain some momentum back. Schell back up to the top. Gains some more momentum back to the bottom of the racetrack. 12 to go this time.
And I think Bergeron, this is a very dangerous situation right here, Justin, because we talked about it earlier. If you hit the infield wall or the tires or anything down there on the bottom, especially on the exit, and you get into that and spin yourself around, Bergeron is in the prime position to just T-bone him and maybe wreck himself here. So he's really putting a lot of trust in the hands of Tyler Schell here that he does not make a mistake as they continue to go at it for the race lead. Back and forth on the inside of the racetrack. The 17 of Merriman slipping back a little bit now.
And at this point, if I'm Bergeron, I'm just waiting for an opportunity. If Schell makes a mistake, go for a move. If he doesn't make the mistake, he's in a prime position to gain valuable points with 10 laps to go. No need to be making over-aggressive mistakes or moves at this point of the race. Bergeron continuing to ride on back. They've now ditched Merriman. Kendall Tucker is now starting to reel in Merriman, in fact, for 3rd spot, coming to 9 to go.
Once again, Bergeron all over the rear bumper of Tyler Schell through 3 and 4 this time by, as you mentioned, 9 to go. Schell, a little bit of a mistake right there off the 4th corner, but Bergeron does not see an opening to make a pass here as they work back into 1 and 2. Bergeron absolutely pushing the 85 of Schell around. He'll go to the top of the racetrack on the straightaway. Schell pulls away just a little bit now, but what is going to happen here in these final, 8 laps this time by? Things are going to be very interesting up front here between the 85 and the 12.
They have been near dead on in terms of the line markings throughout this entire race, especially along that bottom. This time, though, Bergeron tries to carry a little bit of momentum off the corner, loses in time, in fact, to Tyler Schell. Schell continuing to slow ride that car right against the inside, all the way to right about here. Bergeron is now trying to match the line. He's trying to gain the momentum back by trying to match tire to tire and see if that can work for him. Now coming at the 6.5 laps to go.
We got a great race going on for 3rd as well. Cameron Merriman in the 00 car of Kendall Tucker kind of going at it right now. Tucker has really tracked down the 17 of Merriman, and he's got a different line going on, especially in 1 and 2. The 00 car has run himself kind of in the middle of the speedway where those guys on the bottom are throwing that loose dirt up in the middle of the track. He's trying to grab a hold of that. This time by, it goes back to the inside of the racetrack in 1 and 2.
And it seems like a majority of the field, if not the entire field, towards the front at least, is committed to slow rolling the bottom of the racetrack. Drivers towards the mid-pack have been trying a bit of the cushion. But for Merriman, along with Bergeron and Schell, with 5 to go, the bottom line has been the line throughout the night so far. Merriman still holds on and defends, all while the top 2 have pulled away by more than 2 seconds.
4 laps to go this time by the start-finish line for Tyler Schell in pursuit of his first ever iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series win. Bergeron back to the middle of the racetrack. Now diamonds it off the corner. Going to get a big run down the back straightaway. How bad does Bergeron want to win this thing? Does he go to the top? He goes through the middle of the racetrack in 3 and 4 trying to get by Schell. Schell misses the bottom on the exit of turn 4 a little bit, but Bergeron now not able to capitalize quite yet.
Bergeron now trying to take a little bit of a peek, goes back up to the slick, goes back to the middle line, loses a bit of time as he tries to diamond the corner. Schell tries to hug the Armco once again. Schell trying to block hard, hits a bit of a bump down the straightaway. Schell again hugs. Bergeron gets close to the back end once more. 2 laps to go this time. Schell having the race of his life.
Tyler Schell, can he hang on? He's got to be getting nervous. He's got a 2-time champion right in his back pocket, and he's trying to take home his first ever victory. He was so close a few weeks back at the Cedar Lake Speedway. Things did not pan out his way. Can it happen here with the white flag coming this time by Williams Grove Speedway?
He's got a good cushion now as Bergeron loses a little bit of time coming off turns 3 and 4. Tyler Schell for Elbows Up SimSport looking to become the 13th winner in the history of this series. Leads by 3 car lengths and grows it into 3.
So many laps led, so many seconds, so many podiums, so many missed attempts. But the 85 of Tyler Schell finally gets it done here tonight. He wins at the Williams Grove Speedway. It's the 85 of Schell over the 12 of Bergeron. Then behind him, the 17 of Merriman, the 00 Tucker, and in 5th, the 35 car of Nick Cooper. But how about it for Tyler Schell? It's been a long time coming for that driver.
He had a lot of speed just a few weeks ago. If it wasn't for that mistake, he might have been able to win at Cedar Lake. He's had speed at other racetracks, especially in the past couple weeks, but tonight, he had a perfect race from the get-go. Matched up his lines perfectly on the bottom side, was able to defend very well against Bergeron. Very no mistakes down the stretch, and it gets him the checkered flag.
Fantastic job tonight by Tyler Schell. A lot of fun to watch as he does some donuts on the racetrack. 6th place went to Tim Ryan. 7th went to Lewis Hewitt. 8th was Rusty Cougar. 9th was Austin Selman. 10th went to the 71 car of Cole Cabry. Back behind him in 11th, it looks like it was Tyler Ducharme. Hayden Cardwell recovers to 12th. But as I mentioned there when it first happened, I did not think he'd get back to the top 10. And 12th was all the 22 could muster here tonight. Then it was Mason Hannigan. James Edens with no front wing ends up 14th. Dustin Griffiths, Adam Elby, Greg LeMay, Colton Davis, Shea Pallow, and Braden Eiler will be the top 20 finishers here tonight from the Williams Grove Speedway. And with that, we're going to take a short break here, Justin. But before we do, man, it was looking very promising for a barn burner heading into Charlotte. But after tonight, it looks like things are well in the hands of Bergeron.
Absolutely, especially with that first lap incident. And it's about making the minimum amount of mistakes in a race such as this, in a series such as this. And unfortunately for tonight, Cardwell just got involved with some of the early mistakes, and in turn, now puts Bergeron in the driver's seat for the title.
We'll have to figure out how many points separate those guys when we get back here. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk to our feature winner along with our 2nd and 3rd place finishers. Don't go anywhere here on DirtVision.com. Welcome back to Williams Grove Speedway for continuing coverage of Round 9 for the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Chase Rod alongside Justin Prince, and Justin getting ready to interview our top 3 I always love seeing a first-time winner tonight here, and it was Tyler Schell. I'm sure he's going to be really pumped up.
I know the team's going to be very pumped up, to say the very least, after seeing the job he's done tonight. They've been carrying a lot of speed elbows up lately, and especially with Tyler Schell. We talked about it a little bit before, where he's been close several times, but tonight he just put it all on the line together and as well had a clean race for the race win as well. A nice, picture-perfect race if you're a Tyler Schell fan.
Well, I am a fan of Tyler Schell here tonight, picking up the victory, and he has now joined us here in the broadcast booth. And Tyler Schell, a first-time winner here with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series on iRacing.com. So many laps led, so many top fives, a couple podiums here and there, and finally, the stars align and things happen for you tonight. How excited are you?
Dude, I'm thrilled, man. After Cedar Lake, it was definitely heartbreaking, reeling Alex in and then flipping out over the park. But hey, it makes it more sweeter now, I can tell you that.
Talk us through the fight with Alex Bergeron and having to defend for 20 laps on the bottom of the racetrack and the amount of work you put in to be able to know that line, to be able to defend properly.
A lot of time, I can tell you that. This is probably my most favorite thing to do on the game, but I bet that's Alex's most favorite to do too. Having him at his best track at his best line right behind you for how many laps? 25, 20 on your neck. It felt like a year, I can tell you that.
I talked about it during the race. This track is so technical, running the bottom. There's so many things that can go wrong, and if you drive it in just a little bit too deep, you can miss it and kind of be in the slick there, and it could cost you the win. How much, obviously Bergeron putting a lot of pressure on you there, but how much pressure were you putting on yourself there, knowing that this could finally be it after being so close at Cedar Lake and a couple other times having some moments where you shown greatness but was not able to put it together? With him on your back bumper and how hard it was to run the bottom tonight, how tough was it?
iRacing's, I've never raced a real car, but people say iRacing, you don't have the adrenaline, so you can think about other stuff, and I just could not stop thinking about don't mess up for 20 laps, and I would look over once or twice a lap just to see what lap it was and made it even longer. But the last two laps felt like eternity, and I thought I gave it away a couple times, but I was able to recover and get down the grip down the straightaway. I was able to block them. That's all I needed.
Well, Tyler, congratulations on the win. I love seeing first-time series winners, and tonight you definitely earned it. It's been a long time coming, man. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you, man. Just like to thank everybody that takes part in this series. You guys are putting the amazing broadcasts on World of Outlaws, iRacing, and then Elvis Up Sim Sport. And our amazing sponsors, School Sim Racing, Flow Racing, Anderson Speedway, Motorsport Speed, Jumps Logistics, Paced by Tunigan, Hergot Real Estate, BS Air, Overall Photographs, Catch Fence Apparel, Roofco, and Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation.
Well, there he is, Tyler Schell, your winner tonight, car number 85. He gets the job done at the Williams Grove Speedway. And in second, the driver that was tracking him down there and applying a lot of pressure, it was Alex Bergeron in P2. And Alex, I'm not really going to talk about the race, but things very interesting coming into the night, I wasn't here at Kokomo. I watched the replay, saw what happened there. And then tonight when Tim Ryan and yourself get together in the heat race, get some damage, somehow hang on to second, it was a pretty wild night, to say the least.
Yeah, of course. Didn't really know what happened in the heat race there, and Tim kind of came up, and I kind of come down and down the straightaway stuff to go straight to Sager in the sprint car. So really had no choice, and was really lucky to be able to continue there in the heat race. And I just wheeled the car out of it and made sure to stay on track and get past, I think, LB there and get myself in second, start sixth in the feature. And definitely a hard night, but I think we did a good job overall, and we definitely had a good pace here tonight.
Of course, it was a crazy stretch tonight where the first lap incident involving your championship rival ends up seeing him finish in 12th position by the end of the night. Then yourself getting into a hard scrap with Tyler Schell, who was looking for his first career victory. What was kind of the emotions in the cockpit, especially with the fight for the race win and seeing someone like Tyler Schell trying to hold on and try and get into victory lane for the first time?
Well, definitely. I gave everything I had there for Tyler. On the bottom was the fastest way around, and he did an awesome job to hold the bottom, I should say. Sorry. And he did an excellent job, and he ran the bottom very good, and I did my best I could to get around him. I tried to middle. I didn't try to run up top because I didn't want to risk it. This track is super tricky, so running the bottom was the best way to go around this racetrack tonight, and thankfully we were able to finish the race, and Shell did a good job again. So congrats to him for his first win.
Well, we've talked to you in the past about the championship, about the nerves, about all that stuff, but it seems like you're always, stone cold Steve Austin, man. You got no nerves. You're not worried about it. But after what happened here tonight, heading into the final round next week at Charlotte with a 30-point lead, it's got to take a little bit of weight off the shoulders, right?
Yeah, I mean, it really, like you said, I'm just, normal and medium. I'm just going out there to do a race for a race, and I don't really know what happened there on the first lap. Really don't understand it, but I just raced normally, and I just run the bottom, and there was a gap there that no car could go there. So really don't understand that, but we did what we had to do there, just to stay on track and do our good job, and definitely had a good pace for qualifying once again tonight. The last few weeks has been really good for our qualifying efforts. So really proud of the team and what we have achieved this year. So very, very grateful.
Well, the achievements aren't quite done yet. We got one more week at Charlotte. Alex, great job tonight, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. And before I leave here, I got to thank Team Avery Sports, as always, Rebecca and Jason and Brennan as well for helping me out every week and getting the car ready for these races. I wouldn't be able to do this without them. So shout out to them. All of our partners, ABR Esports, CSI Shocks, Biologic Cat, BK Designs, Marine Farm Equipments, Stucco, and CD Symptography, and everybody that supports us, and my dad for watching as always, and you guys are doing an awesome job broadcasting iRacing as well with World of Outlaws, and I'm grateful for finishing second here tonight.
Alex Bergeron coming home in P2 and extending that championship lead here as we head into the final round at the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track. But a good run tonight for the driver that ends up in third. That was Cameron Merriman, a winner back at Weed Sports Speedway. And, man, Cameron, late in the season, man, you've got a lot of momentum. Got that win, obviously, but here a third-place run tonight, and now got yourself a couple top fives.
Yeah, it's a great feeling to be able to put runs actually together. I had a top 5 at Fairbury, and I got incident out there. It was a beat and banging race over there, and at Lernerville I got caught up with some shenanigans running in the top 6 or 7. So I've had a couple of strong runs, but yeah, it's definitely coming off the win at Weedsport. I've had a good amount of fortune, and I would say that also I've been fortunate in qualifying, and we all know how important that is. I was able to line up on pole in my heat race tonight, and as long as you can keep it relatively clean in the heat, that's like smooth sailing at least to like a top 10 in the feature, just because of the real estate that you've bought yourself, putting yourself in front of so many of these guys that make it really difficult to pass, and especially at a track like this late in the race, it's really hard to get by anybody.
What do you feel you needed to do differently or could have done differently when thinking back to try and have the chance to try and pounce the Tower Show and Alex Bergeron? That's
a good question. For a few minutes, I thought I was really in the catbird seat because they were really duking it out to the point that I was thinking maybe a couple car lengths of breath from them might be a good thing in case they get tangled up, kind of like looking back to Weedsport with Hayden Cardwell and Alex, right? So I was feeling like maybe I'd be ready to pounce on something if they both got messed up. But, in retrospect, if I were to dissect the race, I was running the bottom just like they were, and they had probably a half a tenth to a tenth more pace than me, probably just due to setup and the way that they were handling entry and exit on the corners, things like this in terms of input, something that I wouldn't have been able to bridge that gap. So if I were to put myself back in the car and say, all right, let's just see what we can send, I would have tried something up top. Hayden Carwell, actually late in the race running midfield, was able to put together one of the quickest laps of the last 10 by anybody running the top in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But, clearly as a driver in the seat running third, that's a huge risk because the cushion is so shallow. We're running a day race at the Grove, so the entire thing is basically there's no moisture in the entire track, and it's really hard to find any purchase other than on the bottom. So if I were to have gone and put myself on the rim like that, I probably would have gotten bit. So I feel contented having run the bottom and got myself a solid third. There probably wasn't much to be made up top, nevertheless.
Was that the reasoning why everybody kind of moved to the bottom there late in the race? I mean, we saw, through the heats and the LCQs, it was, mostly everybody was on the top. But late in that race, man, or even halfway, everybody kind of migrated. Was it just too sketchy up there? Was coming off the top down the straightaway in the slick, was that just not enough? Was it not worth it? Or, I'm just trying to figure out, I like to, figure out what tracks are doing. What was the reasoning for everybody going to the bottom there mostly?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I don't think that I would attribute it to it being sketchy because, many of the guys in this field can put the car anywhere and make it work. And I was actually hoping, like desperately, that we'd be able to run the top late in the race. But I think that the dominant mechanism that led to everyone running the bottom was that it was a day race at the Grove, and what happens there is that the sun is just beating on the track and pulls the moisture out of it. And what you need and demand in order to be competitive on the top at the Grove is there to be a strong, heavily moisturized cushion there that you can lean on, and that it's going to help carry you through the corner. And without that, really, you need to make up so much time from the guy running the bottom. If you consider the actual track length of what it looks like driving the bottom here versus the top, you have to go really, really far, like the long way around when you run the top. And so if you can't make up that difference with like a crazy strong entry and an equally strong corner exit, then the bottom's always going to be quicker. And then I think that the period on this kind of thought really circles around to the fact that at the end of the day, we're all searching for moisture. And if you had paid attention, like kind of were being aware of the track state we got late in that feature, the only kind of purchase you could find with a moisturized clay was all the way at the bottom, maybe 2 lengths off the wall. So if you were to run the top, you're kind of stranded in zero moisture dirt that's completely burned out, and you can hardly put your foot on the gas without the rear tires breaking loose from traction. So really you end up killing yourself just on momentum. So without the cushion, with the sun out, pulling the moisture, it's just really difficult to be able to make a run up top.
Very good thoughts there, and I love learning more and more about it. I know quite a bit, I feel like, in real life, but the iRacing stuff, sometimes I still don't really understand it all the way. So great insight there, Cameron, and a great job tonight, by the way. 3rd place run. You got to be happy with that. And, one more race to go, man, at Charlotte, and we wish you luck there.
Thank you so much.
Cameron Merriman, P3 tonight, car number 17. And with that, Justin, we'll wrap up our interviews and about ready to wrap up this show. But let's take a look here real quick at the championship standings heading into the final race at Charlotte.
Yes, indeed. That mistake we mentioned with Hayden Cardwell, an incident rather, with Hayden Cardwell involved in it, is going to be probably the major kicking point unless Bergeron has some bad luck at the dirt track at Charlotte. 30 points now, that separation as a result. Absolutely critical, and that's what we've been emphasizing all season long. If you make any over-aggressive moves, especially early on, or any major mistakes, it could end up costing you in the late going, and it's now cost Hayden Cardwell in the worst possible timing of the season. The majority of the drivers behind, though, keep in mind, are still fighting for various positions like Kendall Tucker and James Evans and company, but also look at that relegation line. With Newhoffen out, he's now 25 points back. Mason Hannigan, 1 point back of Rusty Kruger.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something to watch for when we come back next Monday night from the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track. And once again, let's take a look at that schedule. Obviously, only one race to go here in 2021. And you look at the winners on the right side, add Tyler Schell to the list there, right next to Williams Grove Speedway. And next week, January 25th, we're back here live on Dirt Vision for the final round. We will crown a champion. Will it be the 3rd time for Alex Bergeron, or will Hayden Cardwell do something we thought we'd never see, and that's win both the Sprint Car and the Late Model Championship? Not only just that, but in the same year, at least the same calendar year there. So it's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, Bergeron's got quite the gap, but you never know what can happen there when we head to Charlotte, Justin.
We've seen some great racing there, especially both lines coming into play in many different cases, but it's going to be one where, as long as Bergeron doesn't make any major mistakes, keeps track position, doesn't get involved in any major incidents, he's in the catbird seat to control his own destiny. For Hayden Cardwell, he needs some luck to be able to close up that gap from the start. And then if he gets that luck, he needs to back it up with pace. It's going to be a huge, huge race. And as well with that relegation line, it's going to be busy to try and get those final spots. We mentioned how tight it was with J.D. Brown. He barely got himself out of the situation that he needed to basically race his way in. Now, there are several drivers going to be hungry to lock themselves in for the future campaigns.
No doubt. We're going to keep tabs on the relegation. We're going to keep tabs on the championship. Until next time at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Dirt Track, it's been a great night of racing here at the Williams Grove Speedway. And for Justin Prince and Tyler Maxson, my name is Chase Rodman saying so long, and we'll see you next week at Charlotte.